Hey everybody, this is Cindy Allen, Editor-in-Chief of Interior Design, and welcome to episode 2 of our Delta Difference Makers. Okay, our good friends at Delta partnered up with 3 fabulous designers who have their finger on what's now and what's next to share inspiration and ideas that are both inspiring and approachable. And this year's Delta Difference Makers are here. A big welcome to Avissa Mojtahedi she's the founder and principal of Avissa Design in Toronto. Hi, Canada. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. How is everyone?
You're great. And we have Eche Martinez, founder principal of Eche over on the West Coast. It's so good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Yeah. And then we have Leyla Jaworski, owner, creative director, Design Shop Interiors in Sacramento. Hi, Leyla.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, you Delta Difference Makers. How are you? It's so nice that happened that I saw right away is how much the 3 of you came together and with all different backgrounds, like affection and inspiration to each other.
Time we met, we were in Indianapolis for our first photo shoot, I would say a couple of years ago, right guys? And we each came with some work already done for what would be our concepts for the first phase of the campaign with Delta. And as you say, we each have very distinct point of views. But also we connected right away, and I think the chemistry, you can tell, right away we connected, and it's been such a fun collaboration, not only to work with them, but also get to know them better and get to meet other designers in other markets and just see how they're doing with their businesses and how things are going, and sharing ideas and frustrations every now and then, but mostly sharing really good stuff.
Exactly. So this is episode 2, you guys. The first episode highlighted you all, the Delta Difference Makers and the spaces at KBIS, remember? And we all met at KBIS and we talked about the KBIS experience and the Delta brand. Now, if anybody missed that program, you can go on DesignTV on interiordesign.net and learn more about the campaign through deltadifferencemakers.com. Let me say it again, deltadifferencemakers.com. Say it 3 times fast. Okay, so that was great. That was wonderful. And so we talk about authenticity with Delta all the time, right? That's what they say the DNA of their campaign is. And so today we want to dig into your businesses and get to know you all a little bit more. So this is going to be a fun one, right, guys?
Oh, absolutely.
So Avissa, we're going to start with you. Tell us a little bit about your background and where you went to school and who you worked for before you went off on your own.
Perfect. So I went I worked in a design firm in Rosedale in Toronto and I then started my own practice at 26. In architecture and just anything. I've also worked as art director, as project therapist, as whatever, a design expert on a show here called City Line. So I've had a couple. I'm obsessed with design. I've worked with developers. I have a lot of private clients, and I've also recently started working on commercial projects, which I also really love. It's definitely different, but you can flex some creativity there as well. I am also obsessed with golf, if you want to know about a little bit different.
Fun fact.
All right, let's talk about this golf thing. How do you relate it to design?
I'll tell you. I'm really inspired by nature, and I'll be out golfing and my instructor is like, Avissa, where are you? And I'm just staring. And then I'll text a client, I'm like, do you like these colors, like the blue and the brown? And clearly there's a lot going on there, but it's really inspiring. And then golf just helps me meditate. So it kind of clears my mind, helps me come up with concepts. I think it just does a lot.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love that you said you studied architecture, because when you talk about your design, you talk about things that are sculptural and architectural. So you sort of answered it right there.
I feel like any interior that I'm starting off, definitely a color scheme is really important, but also just picking an element that's very sculptural, whether it's a light, a piece of furniture, even some sort of like, even designing stairs or designing spaces and bathrooms or kitchens even. I feel like everything has to have a sculptural element rather than, I don't know, that just really appeals to me, just to have something a little bit different in every space I'm designing.
Yeah, and Eche, you're a native of Buenos Aires, right?
That is correct. I was born and raised in Argentina, and I recently celebrated my first 10 years in San Francisco.
Woo! Congratulations, a decade.
Yeah, needless to say, it's been a really fun adventure. Even though I had a background in this interior design and architecture from my education back home in Argentina, I was more, my initial steps into the career were definitely more on the marketing side. And I really enjoyed it, but I felt like there was something missing. And when I had the chance to move to the States 10 years ago with my partner who was working in tech at the time, I was pretty much, a spouse, right? We landed here. We didn't know that many people in the Bay Area. And I said, well, you know what, if I could reinvent myself, what would I do? I just want to do something that's fun. I want to be true to my my goals when it comes to a career and my aesthetic. And I did this crazy, now I see it 10 years later, I was like, wow, clearly I was in my 20s. So I Googled my favorite firms in the city, and I sent them my resume, say like total cold call, like info at, and I said, I'm Eche Martinez. I am from Argentina. I just moved here. I would love to get to know you. And luckily for me, my phone rang 10 minutes after I sent my first resume. And that was from Martha Angus's office, who became an amazing friend and mentor over the years. And I'll never forget, her office manager at the time said, hi, Eche, we just got your resume. Are you responding to the ad? I had not seen any ads to save my life. And I said, of course, yes, absolutely. I am responding to the ad.
I love that.
And, are you sure? Because it's a twice a week unpaid internship. It's pretty basic stuff. I was like, I can meet you there tomorrow morning. Long story short, the rest was history. I connected with her and her team right away. She became an amazing mentor, and she took me under her wing. I'll be forever grateful for that. Eventually there was a moment in which I could branch out and start my own firm, and she was nothing but supportive. So, like most things in life, luck, serendipity, and hard work, and here we are 10 years later, and I've had my firm now for 5 of those 10 years.
That's amazing. By the way, I would almost flip that around, because it was like hard work, because you didn't sit back away when they said it was an unpaid internship, because so that's kind of amazing.
Oh, I did it.
Leyla,
yeah.
Leyla, I like your story. East Coast girl. No, West Coast girl.
West Coast girl went East Coast, came back.
Went back West Coast. And you were saying something like you wanted to like have a little bit more of a laid back life, and then you were like, newsflash. So tell us.
So I don't have an education in design. I don't have a background in it. I kind of joke that it picked me like later in my 30s, which can be a little bit intimidating. Part of what was so nice about working with these two is I knew how amazing they were. And you can go into this kind of situation like, oh my God, am I good enough? And we all just connected just on just the best level. And so it was great. But so if I went back to my roots, I was in real estate on the East Coast, and I had a knack for just kind of walking into houses and going, oh, we should move that there and fix that there, and let's get rid of that. And it just sort of started growing, and it was never my bread and butter though. And when we decided to move back to California, I stayed home with my son for the first 2 years, and my girlfriend called. She was vice president of the largest house flipping company in Sacramento. And she said, hey, we need a project manager. And I was like, that's up my alley, my real estate background in new construction, all of that. And so I dove into that for a year, and we flipped about 200 houses in a year. So at any given time, I had up to 40 houses under construction. And, I'm not the GC, I wasn't responsible for the physical construction, but I was a project manager. And I knew that I had a capacity for construction and understanding all that process, and just handling a lot at one time. And when I decided to leave that, I looked at my husband. I was like, what am I going to do? And he goes, people call you to help design their houses and you say no. So why don't you give it a shot? And I literally my kitchen table was my desk, and I sort of went into it and said, I don't know what this looks like. I don't know what to try. I'd never interned. I'd never seen a design firm in action. But I said, I'll figure it out as I go. And now here we are. At the end of this year, it'll be 7 years, and we're a team of 15, and we've been in magazines and on TV, and we have some bigger things to come that we can't talk about yet, but it's been great.
That's terrific. So again, I see the three of you completely different, and yet that's what's so amazing about design, right? It brings people together, creates community, and makes people live a better life. So let's talk about some of your projects. Avissa, there was I want to know about the condo, the Blue Kitchen penthouse condo in Toronto.
Sure. So this was a family. They have homes. They have various homes, but Toronto's home for them. And they were obsessed with the view. It was a very intimate space, not that large, but they really wanted to just change absolutely everything. I remember the very first meeting, they took, they gave me a tour, and they just said, look at everything. I don't want to see any of this ever again. So that was great.
By the way, I saw the before pictures, and I would totally agree with them. Those are quite before and after pictures of Avissa.
Yeah, I even said if we keep any of this, if I'm not working on this project. So I did that well. And they really they're young, they wanted something playful, colorful, accessible, and they were really into good quality and just higher end appliances and such. So we basically changed the entire kitchen area. We found a really lovely blue that was welcoming and fun and just a happy blue.
It's gorgeous. I love that blue.
A fun blue. And it's not, obviously colors really drive our moods as well. And I just found that it was a warmer blue. So we changed all the floors. Obviously we painted everything. We gutted all the 2 bathrooms. Their closet was a big mess, and they didn't want to close it off. So the way I designed it was to really tuck everything into the corner, and then just have another cabinet there that also stored everything away, but it was still a walk-in, and it still looked nice. Yeah, it was such a fun project. I really wanted to play with a lot of textures as well. The built-in the office space, we really needed an espresso machine, and it would not fit in the kitchen. So we thought, place it in the office, have your coffees there, maybe have some clients in, do whatever you want, but we're having a coffee machine there.
It looks great in there, by the way. Is it near the kitchen?
Like a 5-second walk, yes.
Oh.
Everything is close to the kitchen.
But did you use Delta faucets in the kitchen and the bath?
We did. In the bathrooms, we have Delta. And I know that was something that, I presented that to them early on, and they're like, love it, let's do this. So that turned out really well. They weren't really into a ton of different colors, so they really wanted to see more texture, like a play on different layering textures. So I really played that up in the office built-in, and it just turned out the space felt double the size. Obviously, color combinations have a huge impact. And then just, we had like a zebra or a cheetah pillow in the living room, which was very much not in line with kind of any of our tastes, but it just, and then we styled the coffee table. It was just such a fun project. And what I loved most was they gave me their keys. They were away for 2 months.
Oh,
and
nice.
they said, do your thing. And, and they came back. And that was so.
It looks twice the size. And don't you think, you guys, it's kind of, as a designer, it's all about relationships, but then even with the companies that you specify, it's really about relationships. And to have that good relationship with Delta is really important in your business.
Absolutely. Half of it, if not more, is really trusting the quality and understanding that it's going to be there over the next however many years. So it's that reliability, but then also understanding, being so involved with the team as well, really knowing what's being put into the product, the research, the technology, and just the brand itself is fantastic. So there's a ton of reassurance there.
Yeah, don't you guys think the same?
Oh,
Oh,
100%. You know,
100%.
you're only good as the quality of the product that you install. And I always tell my clients, you know, we're going to build a great team. We're going to get you from point A to point B in your remodeling or construction project. And hopefully we'll make it as enjoyable as we can. But, you know, it's construction. There's going to be a few headaches and a few hiccups. But I always say, if you got a really good brand behind you or a good team or a good vendor, and you pick up the phone and say, hey, guys, we opened the box and this is what happened, you know that there's going to be someone on the other side is going to say, yes, Eche, we're going to fix that right away, whatever it takes. And it goes to artisans, go to artists. It's a matter of relationships. And I think that's also part, you know, as you start growing your business and your career starts taking shape, you and your vendors and the brands that you work with, you're a team. There needs to be synergy, right?
I think it's like, yes to all that. I think two things. First of all, I think the designer is like the best salesperson for a manufacturer, for sure. And it's about product, and then what you said, service, right? It's kind of both of those things in tandem. You have to love the product, but you have to be able to get it.
100%.
And a company has to really service your needs for your client.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. So Leyla, let's talk about what's a favorite project that you want to talk about today?
Probably our Sebastopol farmhouse. That was a highlight of last year.
So tell us about it.
We were so we're in Sacramento, so Sebastopol's in the Bay Area. It's about 2.5 hours away from us, and we were contacted by a couple with 3 kids. And many people would argue that the original house was amazing, but it was an old Tudor. It was this amazing Tudor on this amazing property, but it was very dark and lots of small rooms, and they just really wanted to take it California style. And we, not only did we take the house down to the studs, we put on a big addition, and we really turned it into the most glorious California modern farmhouse.
I see the kitchen looks stunning, and that table in the middle, wow.
Yeah. So Angie Edwards was the lead on that one. Because we are such a large team, we all kind of take lead on different projects. We collaborate all together within the firm. It's really amazing, but there's always a main point person. And she was the point person on that team, and she just took it over the top.
And what's your favorite spot in that house?
It's so hard to say because, and we do this, I don't know about you guys, Avissa and Eche, but every time a project comes out and you see the photos, you're like, that's totally my favorite. And then the next one comes out and you're like, oh, but that's my favorite. That kitchen shot has really gone viral on Instagram, and I think it's amazing, but there are also just little moments throughout the house that speak a little bit more even to the decorating than necessarily the construction part of it. And I don't know that I can pick one.
All right. They're all your babies. I know that's how it is. All right, Eche, I know that you worked on a beautiful project in Presidio Heights, and it was for a tech company or something that they had moved to San Francisco.
Right. So husband and wife team with 2 kids. I get a total cold call from someone in Seattle saying, hi, we just saw your website. You know, we're looking for someone young, someone in the Bay Area, of course, someone who's, you know, ambitious, someone who's eager, all the right trigger words. Can you meet us tomorrow? We're flying tomorrow for the day to San Francisco. Can you meet us tomorrow on site? I was like, okay. Was I referred by an architect? Like, you know how it is, right? Again, going.
Clients.
Right. So I go into this mystery first date. And when I see the house from outside, I just absolutely fell in love with it. It was a turn of the century, Gilded Age, Friend, Beaux-Arts residence, absolutely stunning. Full classical neighborhoods of San Francisco, overlooking the bay, overlooking Park Presidio. I mean, it did not get any more quintessential than that. The only weird thing was that when as I approach the meeting and I walk up the stairs to go into the house, I see that there's tradespeople wrapping things up. There's a porta potty. And I was like, okay. These guys just bought the house, and there's either a remodel already taking place. So anyway, so I walk in and I meet the client, who was absolutely lovely and super fun. And she said, well, in complete honesty, Eche, we've never seen the interior. We just made an offer. We like the house from the outside, and we just found out that the previous owner has been doing a 2-year, totally down to the studs, very ambitious remodel, which was great. But I mean, you've seen the pictures of our completed project. The only issue was that they modernized it inside to a point that it was just so void of like any historical character or a
They
sense
stripped
of,
it away. They stripped it away.
oh, no more fireplaces, no more base, no more crown, no more, absolutely nothing. Luckily, they gilded the forged iron, cast iron round spiral staircase connecting all levels of the house was left there intact. And
Thank
then my
God.
client said, I want in an updated way, in a contemporary way, I just want to give this house, its sense of place and former glory. So we did this reverse exercise in which, when the previous crew was done with their super crisp modern remodel, we started bringing some of the elements that we sort of imagined would have been there, right, back into this residence. I think you may have seen the black and white marble checkerboard at the entry hall.
Yep.
That
Gorgeous.
Going back to favorite babies, that library by far is my favorite thing that we added to the property. There was absolutely nothing there. It was gray walls and a TV in the middle, no millwork, absolutely nothing. And when we walked in, we said, okay, we need to give this room a purpose, because it was close to the social areas, but far enough that it could be private. And we said, okay, this will be our moment, our library moment with the client. And we connected right away. And speaking of collaboration, they were, to Avissa's point, they were out of state for the entire project. We had 6 months to completely redo the house and furnish it completely, including the art program. And I would say most of our conversations were via text. And she said, okay, send me 3 options via text. Okay, which one do you like? I said, well, option 1 is within our budget, but option 2 is really nice. And she's like, okay, option 1. And like that for 6 months. And then we had the big reveal moment, almost like a TV show. They flew in with their kids and we had everything set up for them. The art was already up, flowers in every room. And it was one of the most gratifying projects that I've ever done. That's why I wanted to share it with you guys, because we're really proud of it.
Yeah, it is a stunner. I'm really excited to share it with everybody. Avissa, we talk about architecture. So Eche was saying we had to bring it back in that particular case. But you sent over a few pictures that were about trying to find something that made a space special, feel special, like having a feature wall. And you sent us a couple of beautiful images, one of a living room. Tell us about that.
So this house was, it was supposed to be more contemporary, and it was a young family. They had fantastic taste, and they just said, make our friends faint as soon as they walk in.
Oh.
That doesn't get any better than that.
It doesn't get better than that.
Yeah, so that was like super exciting. So what I wanted to do, I like to pick our light fixtures early on, because I feel like that's something that's left to the end and it makes or breaks an interior. Yep. So we started with our lights and we found this beautiful hand-blown glass bulb sculptural light. I love the movement in this fixture, and that's what really inspired me to do something wild and crazy on the wall. So the angles are kind of all over the place, and what I started doing was I just took some green tape and started taping the feature wall to show where all of our lines would go. Once they approved it, we had it all done up in MDF, and it just became this like backdrop of lines, and it mimicked the light fixture. It just kind of all made sense. So to me, that was a really great way to kick off the interior, kick off the house. And again, it was just really inspired by the shape of the light, and it just kind of took on a life of its own.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I want to ask you guys, because, frankly, I'm used to looking at projects and I could look at them all day with you. But we should talk about what's going on right now, and what are you hearing about from your clients in terms of how they're doing with COVID and projects, how they're doing, and their thoughts about maybe health and wellness. What are your clients saying?
It's crazy for us right now. I think when COVID first hit, I sobbed, because I thought to myself, wow, we were set to have our best year ever in this business. And I felt like the rug was getting pulled out from under us. But instead, what we quickly saw is people really aren't going shopping. They're not spending money. They're staying at home. They're sitting in their houses, dissecting everything that they hate and want to change. They're not going on vacations. They're not going to the mall. They're not going out to eat as much. And so their homes are really where they're investing and spending the money. So we not only our design firm, but our store, even just our retail store, everything is busier than ever. And I think people just want to create that sense of comfort and home, and they want to love, you know, I think the attitude is, if we're going to be stuck here, we want to love the place that we're in. That's what we're experiencing.
Yeah, I would say it's the same thing here. You know, March, there was a lot of uncertainty in California, especially here. You know, our job sites were in complete lockdown. There were a couple of weeks in which, to Leila's point, we, you know, the first quarter, we were run. It was really gearing up to be a really busy year. And then there was so much uncertainty and, in a way, so much fear in mid-March, and I would say early April, that I was like, okay, well, we will need to reinvent the way that we collaborate with our clients. We need to reassure them that, you know, their projects will keep on moving forward, but also that there's a lot of uncertainty going on. And I think now that, you know, we've all acknowledged that the home is or will be the center of the universe, at least for a while, the program is really changing, and people are putting more time and putting more effort into turning that home into a place where they can work properly, if they need any privacy or they need to acquire space where to take a video call. They also want to remain active. So if it means, you know, creating you know, an extra space or regaining an unused space in a home for working out. Some lucky clients, maybe they want to have a steam shower because they miss being in the gym.
Right. We're hearing that. Yeah.
Right? Lots of that. Or it could also be, you know, a study room, right? Kids need to be in the proper setting and not be distracted, just like us adults. We're having our video calls. They need a place where to follow with their education, if it's going to be a couple of months or a couple more, I don't know, a couple more quarters, a year.
Right.
Who knows?
Don't say years. Don't say.
Right. No.
I hope not. I hope not years. But, you know, the program, our residential programs are definitely growing significantly, and we are busier than ever.
I wonder about the word that we've heard that we haven't heard in 20 years. So let's talk about the word hygiene. So
Yeah.
like companies like Delta, they're in the business of hygiene, but we've never, as designers, you've never had to talk about it. You've always had to talk about design, right? I've never heard the word, you know, spoken between us, and now it's circling around us. So having a company like Delta support you all and want to give you voices, at the same time giving you those useful tools for your clients, right? Because that's what they want, cleanliness, right, Avissa?
Absolutely. The touchless feature is just like a whatever you believe in scent. It is, you know, any faucet that we're picking out, it has to be touchless. Clients, even if it's touchless, I've had one client say, well, I'm going to disinfect it after, which is fine. But everyone is, and rightfully so, very much focused on, you know, keeping everything sanitized and clean. And if there's anyone coming in through the house, having a mask on, and just a lot of cleaning. And, you know, there's a lot of scary things going on. So everyone's very much focused on keeping it safe, for sure.
Yeah, Leyla, are you hearing that as well?
We are, for sure. And I think even for us in California, what I've loved about Delta, there's a whole different layer to it. So we have the strictest water restrictions in the country, our gallons per minute. And I have Delta throughout my whole house. And part of the reason that I did that is because of the technology that they put into the faucets. It totally makes up for our lack of actual water, and you would never get in under one of those shower heads and have a poor experience. And so that's a lot of like what we're explaining to our clients, is that the technology is there to make up for the water pressure, and they're really happy with that.
That's an amazing story. Okay, by the way, so we're almost out of time. So I want you all to pick your like one favorite Delta collection. Okay, Leyla, what's your favorite?
The Broderick, which is new.
Okay, Avissa?
I'm gonna go with my Emmeline, just because it really pulled the design together, and I just think it's beautiful. So Emmeline,
What finish?
The black, for sure.
The black. Okay, Eche.
Maybe I'm biased because of my recent love affair with the Trillion collection, but I'll stick to my Trillion collection. Same thing, also in the matte black finish.
Great, super. It's great. See, you're all different.
We are.
Well, listen, Thanks so much. Look, it's been a pleasure, you know, from KBIS last year where, you know, someone was dragging me over. They're like, you have to go see the Delta Difference Makers. To now we've had 2 shows together. Thank you, Delta, for all your support and for creating this amazing program that does support the designers, the design community, and give an authentic voice to Delta. Thank you all very much. And sending lots of good love and safety and healthy living for everybody till we can get back together again and give ourselves a real one, right?
Thank you. Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Good energy, sending good energy. Thank you, Delta. Thank you so much.
Hello, this is Helene Oberman, Managing Director of Interior Design Magazine, and I'd like to welcome you. Exploration and innovation, a willingness to test, try, and try again. They are secure. Discover is to succeed, and that they can help create a better world, one designer at a time. With me today to discuss the interface ethos and their approach to design given the current state of the world is Mindy O'Gara, Director of Product and Learning Experience, and Amber Brown, Director of the Interface Design Studio. Now, well, first of all, welcome both for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you.
So while I know it's maybe a little too early on to have all the answers, I think today's conversation is really important because we need to help the design community strategize together, and it's about this togetherness, about how we can create real solutions really for both the here and now and for the future. Now, Mindy, I thought it might be nice to actually start with you and have you jump in. So how is Interface utilizing a systematic approach to designing your products that can really help the design community develop some of these solutions?
Well, you know, first of all, systemic thinking is a theme at Interface that really carries out almost like a ripple. You know, after all, design it's ever evolving. You know, we're always seeking better solutions, materials, and experiences, how things work together. And because design and the needs of the humans that actually occupy spaces continues to evolve, so do we. And this really does set up a holistic approach to how we create and innovate. And the goal is really to set these things in motion that actually create better experiences for the humans that are inside the built environment.
And so, you know, you have come to think at Interface that, you know, you as a company are one part of a broader picture, I should say, and that really interconnectedness is really at the heart of who you guys are. Can you explain, and I know you just touched on it, how your idea of how holistic solutions involve these intricate worlds of dependencies?
Absolutely. You know, you're exactly right, Helene. We're part of a bigger experience. And that's both inside the built environment as well as outside the built environment. So by nature, we're linked to other elements that work together to create a desired result, whether that's a beautiful aesthetic or to promote a sense of community or simply to enhance an individual's experience through their senses. And this is especially true when it comes to material selection, especially of one of the most substantial planes in architecture, which is the floor for us, but there's also the ceiling and the walls, and how everything works together. For example, if somebody really wants to use exposed concrete ceilings or columns, it's important to think about how they're going to mitigate noise. And one way would be by using sound absorbing materials in other places, possibly the floor, with things like carpet tile or LVT and rubber that also have sound absorbing qualities. It's really just all about how things work together and in concert together, because the elements within the built environment really are interconnected. It's like a web, really. When you pull on one part of the web, it affects another. So how we work in concert, it's like a big recipe, so to speak. How you've got to think about materials in association to the other elements that are within the space to make it a successful experience. Both, and this isn't true for just one sense. You know, when you think about all of our senses, what we see, what we hear, even what we smell in some cases, what we feel, either tactily with what we're touching, but also what we feel underfoot. All of these are part of that experience, and they have to work together to create a happy and healthy experience for the individual.
And would you say, kind of touching on this idea of materiality, so, you know, of course, you know, flooring can play a large role in defining how a space looks and how it feels, whether it's more quiet, but also can you kind of speak to this idea how flooring can also help define how it functions, right? So the materials that you may select, so whether it's your carpet tiles or your LVT or rubber flooring, can also really help determine the behaviors that happen to be on them, or work upon them, I should say.
Absolutely. And you know what, actually, before we can determine those behaviors, we first have to ask, what are the desired behaviors? Because that really is what materials design for, is what do we want those behaviors to be to contribute to that experience. For example, if somebody is wanting to bring in, say, comfort and warmth to a space, they might consider a textile like carpet tile. If they're working in an area or a project where, you know, safety and slip and fall resistance might be of importance, they might consider rubber. If they're wanting a hospitality aesthetic, but they need a hard surface, LVT might be the answer. So we have this broad stretch of materials that enable us to work with a customer as well on, you know, whether it's a specific customer or a specific project, to really understand their needs. And we do this much like a consultant, and we can help guide them to a material that will help promote that sensory experience that's desired.
I want to ask you, Mindy, because I know there's a lot of current conversations that are really centered on this idea of how essential it is for this like new workplace to be resilient in design. So how can flooring really help solve sort of the current needs of a space and make it really easy to evolve over time?
You know, for us, being flooring designers and manufacturers, obviously we're very focused on the floor, and it is one of the most influential planes in architecture, and the demands on it are extreme. But it's got to live up to its potential daily, you know, from the moment that it goes down all the way into the future. You know, this plane in architecture has so much potential when it comes to beautiful aesthetics, or if you need high performance, or to build in safety or acoustical value. But the other thing, the other need that it has to meet within a space from an owner's standpoint is it's got to meet budget considerations as well. So when you think of all of these different needs that someone might need with a space, and then you couple that with our modular system, what this does is it sets the stage for the floor to become very resilient and flexible. It allows it to evolve over time, whether that's to update an aesthetic down the road, or possibly respond to an expansion, or even, you know, a temporary solution to help with physical distancing, much like what we're experiencing right now during this pandemic. So we want to continue to provide beautiful products that are designed to perform, that are designed for certain outcomes, but they also have this ability to not be a static situation.
Wait, so Mindy, I hear that maybe this is not your favorite turn of phrase, but Interface really embraces the fact that modularity must be mandatory, and that like you really should be thinking about that, and designers should be thinking about that within their space, you know, beyond obviously just flooring, but flooring is one component that you can think of as modular.
Absolutely, flooring is one component. And actually, I love the word modular.
It is mandatory.
Well, I guess you have to put that into context.
Yeah.
It might be mandatory if you want intelligent, beautiful results, but it's not forced. It's a choice. And the way I look at it is, when you understand systems thinking and how modularity works, it just becomes so smart that it makes so much sense to use it.
And, you know, I would love to think about going back to this idea of sort of interconnectedness, and it's really important. It's obviously thinking about how an individual connects with their space, but also obviously thinking about how the pieces and furniture and furnishings within a space are interconnected. I mean, would you say that, you know, creating a much more interconnected environment will really help, you know, the development of individuals to be much more successful in how they work within a space?
Of course, because ultimately what we're designing for is really the success and the happiness and the well-being of individuals and businesses. You know, when you think about the environment around us, whether that's the natural environment or the human-made environment, it's actually an extension of our personal experience. And one of my favorite quotes about architecture and really just the built environment in general is by Johanni Palasma. I don't know if you have ever heard of him, but one of his quotes is that architecture is the art of reconciliation between ourselves and the world. And this mediation takes place through the senses. And what I love about that is it really does show that so much of how we're interconnected to our environment, again, whether it's the natural or the built environment, comes through our perception, which comes through our sensory experience. And this is influenced by the materials around us and how they're used in a space. You know, a lot of times we think they're just a backdrop, but they aren't. They're actually functional design tools that bring meaning and relevance and success to the outcome of the individuals within the space.
So thinking about your portfolio of collections, do you think they're designed to provide these space-specific solutions that manifest sort of that sense of space and brand and place that you speak of?
You know, definitely there are, you know, one thing about our materials is we have a variety of materials that we feel meet a lot of different needs and on a broad spectrum. And there are going to be times when those individual materials are exactly the right thing for the right space. But you're also going to have some other areas where they might cross over just a little bit. And that's where understanding the project's needs and the user's needs are going to come into play with how we'll consult with our customers to make sure that the right material for the user and also the business are being, you know, deployed within that space.
Well, actually, Amber, that speaks a lot to sort of your world, because I know you really think about the dialogue, right? You need to have this dialogue. It's so absolutely necessary between yourselves as the manufacturer and the designer and what the ultimate needs are of the end user and the space, correct?
Absolutely. So, you know, we start every project with exactly that dialogue, that collaboration between our in-house designers and our customers and designers at various firms to really understand the needs of the space and figure out how we can take our portfolio knowledge and combine that with their vision of the space and the needs of the space to really help them bring that to life and to create those different places and spaces throughout, whether it's a focus area or a respite area or a collaboration space or a more social space.
Have you found during this time period that some of the conversations that you're having with the design community have shifted or changed from even 6 months or a year ago?
They have. I think the general approach is still, and Interface can really help with this with the modularity, is how do we look for short-term solutions that really get to this physical distancing and allow us to accomplish what we need and provide safe spaces today, but that don't land us 2 years from now with a, oh, that was a COVID floor. So that we still want to, you know, have a beautiful aesthetic and have the functionality and what we need in that space, defining those spaces and places. So it's really that trade-off right now between what we need today and what we might need longer term.
I'm curious, so as Interface, so innovating really to meet a designer's needs while still sort of upholding the sustainability mission that's really much who you are as a brand. You guys you've come together and are now in the process of launching a new product program called Open Air. Can you sort of walk me through how it sort of fits into the existing portfolio and how designers are going to be able to use it?
Sure, I can do that. You know, Open Air really is it's a collection. It's kind of an expanding collection, so to speak, of styles that have revolutionized really how we manufacture and bring high quality, affordable products to market. You know, one would think that carpet is carpet, but actually when you start getting into the needs of different customers and different spaces and different projects, that can iterate out into a variety of different solutions. And, you know, one of the real solutions that so many of our customers have been asking for and need are for very space specific areas like workstations, where you may have a broad floor plan that's beautiful but not super dominant. They need it to be hardworking, so it's designed for performance, but they also need it to be low cost. And, you know, typically when a company designs a lower price point product, and this is true whether you're designing carpet or cars or computers, typically something's value engineered. But what's new and innovative about Open Air is that's not the case. What we've done is actually David Oke, who's one of our lead product designers, he worked with our supply chain as well as our manufacturing facility and the processes that take place within there to come up with efficiencies and innovations that actually have enabled us to make beautiful, high-performing, and affordable products that we can offer out to our customers that have not been value engineered. It all comes through these manufacturing innovations through efficiency. So we're very hopeful, we're very excited about this. A lot of our customers are really excited about this because it definitely fits a need within the market.
And so Open Air and the products that are going to be part of this program will really work seamlessly with the existing portfolio for Interface.
They
correct?
will, because, you know, one thing you can do is obviously, because this is kind of a big recipe, as I said earlier, right? You may have one product in one area that is, you know, maybe a little bit more simplistic in design, but then we'll be able to come in with other either carpet tiles that work as accents or more premium carpet styles like our Floor brand, which is our consumer brand, possibly even mixing in other materials, LVT and things like that. So together the materials can work in concert to fit needs from price point to aesthetics to performance. Again, there's so many different things that have to work together in order to make for a very successful floor for a customer.
I was just listening to David Oke speaking about the design for Open Air, and he was even, you know, really honing in even on the color palette and, you know, really making sure that even the colors, like pulling out the colors that were the most popular from some existing collections, just to make sure that it all ties together once it's down on the floor plate.
Absolutely. In fact, that's when you go back to kind of this systems thinking, that's part of what's built into our process. So not just for Open Air, but also for all of our styles, you know, the ingredients that we work with, one of those being the yarn fiber. We build upon those so they do have intelligence and this experience to be able to connect with other products within the line.
Well, funny. So Amber, I want to make sure that you're looped back into the conversation, but even just speaking about the ingredients, because Amber, you know, would you say, coming from the design side, would you say that good design really takes time and that it's about the journey or the design process? So taking all of these ingredients, they're really just as important as the ultimate final product.
So I think all of us would love to say that good design takes time, but I think what we're seeing is designers are more and more pressed with shorter deadlines, shorter turnaround times, and we're still seeing great design come out of that. So while we would love, probably all of us, to have a little bit more time in that process, I think we're seeing great things with even shorter amounts of time. It's such a scarce resource these days. I think as far as the journey and the process, absolutely, to me, that is just as important, if not more important almost, than the final outcome, because that understanding the space, that collaboration with other designers, really honing in and bringing that vision to life of what a client or designer needs to accomplish, what they want for their employees in that space, makes all the difference in that in product and outcome, definitely.
No, I mean, I really love the fact that Interface has shaped a culture of inclusion, and it doesn't only speak to, yourselves and to those people that are within the company, but that you've really set up a very strong network of, collaborators, supporters, and that ultimately it comes down to this partnership between you, the manufacturer, and then really the whole design community is, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, we are, every day collaborating with our customers, collaborating with other designers, with what I would call sister industries. So people in the furniture industry and the textile industry, just to understand best practices and what's happening in the design world, so that we can make sure that we are providing the best, really most comprehensive solutions for our designers and customers.
Well, and it seems like now, during this time period, more than ever, it's so important to share and to keep that, I mean, we talked about it earlier, that dialogue, keeping that dialogue open, to make sure that, you guys are designing for what designers need for now and for the future. Even though we kind of know, or we don't know, I should say, what the future holds.
Right. I mean, certainly our approach is that all of us are smarter than one of us, right? And that collaboration is really key to getting the best output and the best design that works for our customers and works for the space. So my team of designers, one of the things that we love the most about what we get to do every day is collaborating with A&D firms, collaborating with end user customers, hearing that feedback, hearing directly from them what are their needs, so that we can help solve that either through the floor design or a custom product design, or even, take that further into the company if it's manufacturing or other ideas that may come forward.
And Amber, I'm just curious, even given this current time period, have you, and I know I've asked before too, but even just your process, how have you changed internally? How is it collaborating with your team to sort of be creative and come up with some of these ideas that really fit and be solutions for your design partners?
We have spent a lot of time talking about that and really reviewing how can we be more nimble? How do we make sure that we really understand the current climate? We ask a lot of questions and listen a lot. So whereas we may used to get a brief and be able to work directly from what came in from a salesperson, now in almost every case, particularly for the big projects, we're setting up those phone calls with the designers and the customers to really talk through that project and work much, even more one-on-one than we had in the past to ensure that we're bringing that vision to life.
For this idea of wellness, are you seeing that it's across all the sectors as well? Because I know we center a lot on the idea of workplace, but thinking about the hospitality world, the education world, obviously there's healthcare as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, wellness has always been a hot topic, but now it seems to be sort of at the forefront of a lot of what we're doing in all the verticals.
Definitely. I think it is integral to being a human today. I think we all are so focused on, it used to be when we thought about health, we thought it was really the absence of disease, but when you really dig into it, you'll see that it actually is a fuller dimension of how not only physical well-being, but mental well-being, emotional well-being. And it really comes down to, you know, health and well-being for the individual. And no matter what market segment it is, or what industry you work in, being healthy as an employee, but you know, holistically, is going to result, you know, with a happier employee. And I know that that's got to be something that's important to so many of the businesses out there too, is they want happy, healthy employees, because it's good for everybody. So.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, mental, and I think people forget that it's not always about the physical. It's, you know, it can be very much about sort of that mental and emotional well-being as much as sort of our health. So, but you know, these conversations are absolutely necessary. And I know that what we touched on today is really just the beginning of a longer conversation that we're having, going back to Amber's idea that we should really be information sharing right now. And like, I think we're still on this fact-finding phase while we try to sort of dig through and find solutions that work given the current state of the world. But like Mindy, Amber, I want to thank you both so much for your time and your insight today. And certainly for our audience out there, you should check out the Interface website to really learn more about their brand philosophy and of course about their new open air product program. Thank you.